the Panama Papers. If you follow the news like I follow the news, two things are certain. You have heard about the Panama Papers, and you need to lay off the news because you kind of spend too much time on it, and it's probably not healthy. Those are just my observations, and I'm confident in both of them. So this week, 11 million documents were leaked from the fourth largest shell company legal firm in Panama. Now, Panama has this unusual trade policy with the U.S. that allows them to just be a tax haven. Now, although the names that have come out are pretty shocking, none of them are terribly surprising. Now, you could have a shell company for any number of legitimate reasons. A good example is when Walt Disney built Disneyland, he first announced it. And because he announced it, all the neighbors jacked up the prices on their land. This was useless land, and they just took a fortune out of Walt. So when he decided to build Disney World, he created a bunch of shell companies and used them to buy up the land so nobody would realize what was going on and extort him for money they weren't due. Hey, if you're willing to sell the land at a given price, just sell it. Don't jack up the price because you know it's going to be Disneyland or World. So that's one very valid reason. And there are others, but there's a whole range of reasons you could have these shell companies, and it goes up quickly into ill-gotten gains. Now, most of the gains, I assume, are not ill-gotten, but plenty of them are. There is the case of the African minister's wife who got $5 million and then gave away the mining rights for free to a guy who turned around and sold them for $2 billion. Now, if you want to do that, you can, but the money shouldn't go into a shell company that your nation is not made privy to. I mean, clearly that's corruption. You just robbed your own people. The nation should have sold it for $2 billion and used that money for desperately needed infrastructure and education projects. No, instead, a tiny fraction of that money went to the minister's wife, and she hid it offshore. That's just awful. That's just awful. Drug lords have used shell companies to launder money. Terrorist organizations have used it to funnel money, to sell oil and then pay terrorists to commit acts on their behalf. There are plenty of reasons that are nefarious. Now, if you just want a shell company to protect you from, let's say you want to make a movie like Star Wars. When they went to make Empire Strikes Back, everybody knew what they were making, and they wanted to charge Star Wars money. So they created a shell company so people wouldn't know what they were filming and just charge them normal rates. That's fine. You don't need to go to Panama to do that. You don't need a company in the Cayman Islands to do that. You can do that with a Delaware Corp or a Nevada Corp, where everything is slightly more on the up and up. You certainly don't need to go offshore with it. Now, what's coming out is something we've all known for a long time, which is there are tax avoidance schemes which you can employ once you reach a certain threshold. Now, poor people don't get to do this. I cannot come up with a tax scheme that will allow me to not pay tax on my gasoline or sales tax or property tax. Now, I could get a reseller license and say everything I buy is for resale, but I would get caught, and well, I should. I could declare my house a church, which it isn't, and I would potentially avoid taxes and then immediately be caught. No, these schemes are not always illegal. There are plenty of them that are quasi-legal or even completely legal. There are trillions of dollars in tax revenue missing. So when we say we can't afford $70 billion to make tuition free for undergrads, we're lying. When we say we need more tax breaks for the super rich, we're lying. When we say the Fortune 500 companies pay too much in business taxes, we're lying. They hardly pay any. Some pay none. Many actually get a refund despite billions in profit. So the Panama Papers shouldn't come as any surprise. But sometimes you need to be told what you don't know. And if you're not disgusted, you're not paying attention. So yeah, my tax advice is get so rich that the tax codes are literally written for you. There you go.